Good morning. This is Daniel Posney, and this is called Shifting Perspectives. And I'll try and keep this around 15 minutes, but it may go to 30 minutes. But either way, I'll be very succinct, and I hope you get something out of it. This is well. Let me back up a little bit. Just want to promote our relationship retreat coming up on Oahu in December, and there's breath work and sound healing and adventures on the land and at the beach and relationship dynamics and tools and practical information and going into whatever you want to go into and get a deeper shift in perspectives about that and taking your relationship to a higher level, one that you may not have been thought was possible. I've been doing this work for about 15 years, and I love the relationship work because usually we kind of go through our relationships without any real tools and awareness about the dynamics, without getting too much into psychology, at least enough that we can kind of understand our own mind. So we'll get a lot of that. Our spiritual retreat and couples retreat in September this month, the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th has been canceled. We just didn't get enough signups, so we canceled that and opened that up for something else. Okay, so what is it like being a supporter of someone's cancer healing? Seems to me that that's a pretty good way of saying what I want to say. That role. I'm a supporter, and the best thing that I can do is not to aggravate the emotional and physical things that are going on with this person. So I found that I've been kind of in three different roles in my life. As far as cancer, well, four maybe, I guess. I've had my own skin cancer to work with, and I've healed that. The other one is I worked a lot with cancer patients for about 8 years, being the supporter and the emotional healing counselor and sound healer with them. And then the other one is, of course, with my wife, Valerie, who's moving through breast cancer. Is that four? Maybe that's three. Anywho, I find that I kind of show up differently in each one, and all depends on how close you are with the person. Like, for instance, when I did the work with the lodge at Sedona, where they're doing alternative methods and therapies, 5 coffee enemas a day and Gerson therapy, and then I come in to provide what I do for about an hour. So let me just click this in here. Do this. Okay, there we go. So it's a little different when you're kind of providing a service, a little different when you're going through it yourself, and a little different than also when your beloved or someone close to you is going through that, and you're actively, directly involved in supporting that. So the work that I did at the lodge, I would come in for an hour and then I would leave. So I didn't have that intimate connection with them except for that 1 hour, and it was pretty intimate sometimes, very close and deep conversations with people about emotions and what's been happening with them and that kind of thing for the people that want to open up to that. And that's very rewarding stuff. It's very rewarding to help people get to a deeper understanding of what cancer is there for and what's happening and emotionally what's going through your mind, and how it can be possibly lessened or prevented. What are the pieces to it, and what might help, what all other alternative therapies that even beyond the lodge may be beneficial that you might want to look into. So it's kind of like I've been doing so much research, and with my wife Valerie, we've got so much, especially her, she got so much information about all these different methods and natural methods. So sometimes I share those, and I guess the way that I'm thinking about it is that I don't believe that I have the answer for everyone, but I do have something that, if the person is open, uh, tends to make them more open and feel better. So they may go into their emotions and go into old traumas, and they may go into old limiting beliefs. And if that stuff gets cleared up a little bit, maybe even a lot, it's a big kind of awakening that can happen. And when you have that, and you combine that with some form of sound healing, drumming, didgeridoo, crystal bowl, singing, more heart opening. That's just great for the immune system. That's great for the body. So it's very rewarding to be a part of that. And I've also been a part of that with other retreat companies and with personal retreats with people that come in, and I work with them. When it came down to my wife being diagnosed, it really challenges you to look at so many things that you don't really want to look at. And what's been happening for me is, I think both of us, is why can't we just go on with our life? Why can't we just be happy? We got a beautiful relationship. Why can't we just enjoy this without this cancer thing? And that's a valid concern that anyone would have. And yet there's something happening that it's just I start feeling emotional just talking about it. There is something that happens between us that we get even more in love with each other. And the question also comes up: why didn't this happen before when she was in a crappy relationship? Why couldn't that guy deal with it, or why couldn't it happen then and be resolved when she and I came together? All those kind of, I don't know, maybe you call them superficial or egoic kind of concerns. They're valid, but they are kind of egoic. Um, but the reality is, for what I have heard from other people and in my own experiences, cancer is ready to be resolved and healed when you're with the right person, or if you are the right person by yourself. But it's hard to resolve it when you're with the wrong person. That's kind of what I've seen, and that's how I'm kind of, we're both choosing to look at this as, God, I'm so glad I'm with you now. I'm so glad that if you were going to have to go through cancer, that I would be the one that would go through it with you. I'm so glad that, if I'm going to have to go through cancer, that I'm with you as my supporter, that kind of thing. God, that really opens you up to a deeper understanding. And then what happens with that is great compassion, because if I've dealt with a little bit of cancer myself, I can relate a little bit to what's happening. It's not the same kind of tumor that's happening, but I can relate a little bit. So the questions come up, well, I'm supposing that I'll live to this certain age, but I hope I don't die before that, or it would be easier if I died before. All those kind of questions about death come up, and you have these conversations about your own mortality. And it's very sensitive to talk about those things, to say, what would happen. And yet, even having those conversations allows us to live more fully. When you're really, I've always believed this, when you're really open about death, and you're really open about what could really shift your life, change your life, that you've got to be on a respirator, you've got to take all these medications, or you got to do chemotherapy, or whatever the thing is, it really shifts your priorities about your life. And we've all heard that. So what's happening with me throughout all this is my judgment comes up. And with all the information that I have about healing cancer and what works and what doesn't work, supposedly, um, I start having these judgments about, and why isn't she doing this, or how come she's doing that? And it's my stuff to look at. And then every friend and family member, well-meaning, has their own ideas, and every healer friend that we have has their own ideas, and I totally get it. I want to be the one that helps my wife heal from cancer, and all of her friends want to be the one that said that one thing that, there's this story that, well, she was dealing with it, and I told her to go drink corn juice, whatever. And that's the thing that I believe really, it's that kind of thing that it lights you up, that you could be a part of someone's healing, that you could be a part of a deeper intimacy in someone's life. And I admit, I love being a part of that. If I'm just a little piece, and I hear that they've resolved their cancer, or they've gotten some form of healing, God, that feels good to me. So I'm trying not to sound judgmental of it, but it just, when you get it a lot, when you get everyone having their own opinions about things, after a while you shut down a little bit, and you realize that what you really need is self-empowerment. You need to be empowered in your own decisions. And a little bit of insight with Valerie is that one of the things that she's been working on emotionally is to be empowered, to have her own voice. And she grew up with that being kind of suppressed. So now, her family and friends and has their well-meaning advice for her. But even if it's great advice, even if it will end up being the thing that resolves the cancer, she still is on this path of, I need to have my own voice. So to me, that's more important than getting the thing or the method or the drug that will heal the cancer. I know that sounds weird. The best thing we can do is solve the cancer. Not really, not in my opinion. We're all gonna die. And we could die from a car wreck, we could die from cancer, we could die from a plane crash. But for me, the thing that I want to resolve is my unhappiness, or not feeling completely uh, empowered and in the light that I can be. So I may heal the cancer, but I may never resolve my emotional trauma, and that's the thing that really, for me, is the number one priority. So along that cancer journey, hopefully that gets worked on, that gets resolved, and that's kind of what my role was at the lodge at Sedona, is to help people resolve that part of it. Let the doctors do what they do best, and then I come in and I do that. So what I understand is that at the basis of all illnesses and diseases, including cancer, is some emotional component. And the emotional component of cancer usually is something like, I've been taking care of everyone else and haven't been really loving myself. And breast cancer is specifically focused on nurturing yourself and your connection with mothering and your mother and that kind of thing, which kind of makes sense with the breast. So more on what I need to deal with as a supporter is really being honest with my feelings, really being honest with what this brings up in me. What does it bring up in me? Brings up that I'm completely in love with her. I'm completely in love with my wife, and I don't want her to leave. That's the one that I don't really want to say out loud. But that's the thing. I want things to go the way they're supposed to go, kind of thing. But apparently, this is the way it's supposed to go. And so, there's this work called the work, and anytime you hear yourself saying things that it should be different than the way it is, there you have a problem. And if I were to say, this shouldn't be happening, but it's happening. So the best thing I can do is embrace it and see what's in it for me, and try my best to stay away from what's in it for what I believe should be in it for Valerie, or how Valerie should be approaching this. And God, that is so difficult because you care for them and you love them and you have your own opinion about this. And what I would do something different, that kind of thing. But the reality is that, again, it comes back to me. Valerie's going through this, but how does this affect me? Not that I should be the center of focus. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I am the only one that needs to change. I'm the only one that has something to work on here. And Valerie is reflecting back something to me. And my job is to be in the greatest, greatest compassion and love and empathy that I can. And it sometimes imagine myself in that position, and what would I need and what would I love to have. But while this is happening with her, how does it affect me? And how can I be more compassionate to how it's emotionally affecting her? One of the things that I work on is not showing up in the same way that other men and other people in their life have shown up, that has been at the core of the emotional piece of this. So to be really specific, I don't want to be that person that doesn't allow her voice. that sometimes I can get so passionate about, oh, do this, don't do that. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing the same thing that other people did with her. I'm not allowing her own voice, her own autonomy, her own empowerment. So even though I have such great love for her and I want her to heal, and I want that day to come where she doesn't have a cancerous tumor in her body, that would be nice. In the meantime, I gotta love what is. I gotta really love and embrace what's happening right now. And there's some like admitting that there is some goodness that comes from this. And it's frustrating that it had to come to a tumor or something like this. And yet there's this goodness. And part of the goodness is that Valerie gets a lot of love from this. She deserves so much love. And she gets that from so many people. And she gets so much uh, people, so many people listening to her, to listening to what she has to say, because she has so much wisdom and knowledge that she's now coming out and sharing with other people that are going through similar things or just that need her wisdom. So there's that. The other thing that's happened, because we're looking at our own mortality, we realize that, cancer may not be the killer of us, but it causes us to look at our own life and see, are we living our life from joy? Are we really living? And that's why, Valerie has been the scheduler of once a month we go and do something fun. We make sure that at least once a month we go do something fun. We've got a creek right by our house. We go stand up paddle boarding. It's an hour and a half. That's not very much time. Or we go down to Phoenix. We went to go see Cirque du Soleil. Spent some money there, but it was worth it. And then every 2 months, we do an overnighter somewhere. We maybe take the camper, or we take her car that has a tent on top, and we go do a couple days, 2, 3 days of camping and more stand-up paddleboard, and whatever we want for fun. So we just got back from 11 days in Kauai, and on the outside, it may look like all we do is fun, which is pretty cool. I kind of like that perception, and yet we do work a lot. So we've got to play a lot. And so what we've done is we've kind of squeezed down the amount of work that we do. And we just choose the sessions that we really, really want to do. We only do those sessions, and we tend to get paid more in integrity from those sessions. Um, so about the play part, yeah, I think that's really important, especially from that trip from Kauai. It was really important that we're not just working and caretaking, that I'm not just caretaking Valerie's cancer journey and that's all that we do. And she's just not dealing with cancer and reading and reading and reading and watching videos and trying this and appointments. It can be exhausting for her to go through. It's just constantly all about the cancer. And that's not how we live our lives, but it can turn into that. And that's why we need to make sure that we have that playtime. And coming back from Hawaii really made us realize that actually life should be about fun and leisure with some work if you can fit that in. I mean, looking at our lives, we have honestly probably around 80 years if we're lucky, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little less, maybe a lot less. And when you think about how much time we spend working, I know we have to, at least that's the story, but that just means I think I just want to do a lot more play. If I need to work a lot, then I'm gonna have to play a lot. So in this cancer journey, as a caretaker or a supporter, I really need to make sure that I have my playtime. And whether that's playtime with Valerie or playtime by myself, both are equally important. That I need to make sure that um, this journey doesn't define our lives. So I think that's important, most important message that I want to say is have compassion for yourself, love yourself, take yourself off that treadwheel every once in a while, make sure that you know that you're still a human being outside of this. that this isn't what defines you. And check your own opinions and judgment about the person that you're caretaking for, that you're supporting, because it will bring up all of your crap. It will bring up your emotions and your anger, because your anger is covering up your sadness. It's covering up your sense of loss. So anger is just a better, easier way to deal with it sometimes. Just having that be our emotion. So check your anger, check out what's underneath the anger, and find out what this, what this all is supposed to mean to you. If he or she is dealing with this and they end up having degraded life or even dying, what does that mean for you? Where does that take you? This always happens to me, or I can never get a partner that stays, or whatever the thing is. And that's the thing to kind of look deep within inside. So, and there's some really deep blessings in here if you'll look for them. And it's all about kind of allowing the experience to kind of open you up. That's really what I've seen, is that allow it to really open you up and see who you are on the other side. Now, if you find yourself that you're just this person that's exhausted, then you haven't done the work on this to open yourself up, and you haven't had the playtime. So there needs to be this balance there. Okay, I think that's all I got for now. Maybe some more later. I love you. Thank you. Bless you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.